Hi, welcome to the Louie File. I wanted to share just a brief, I guess, testimony or story with you. You know, I share the Bible sometimes in jail. And recently I had an experience with some men in jail that I think is maybe like a lot of people's experience, and it doesn't have to be just in jail. One of the young men, I'd say in his early to mid-20s, told me that he said most preachers or pastors or Bible, you know, people that come from church in there to the jail, he said most of his experience has been that somewhere along the line toward the end of their service they are basically compelled that if they don't know Christ, if they haven't received Christ, if they haven't been saved, to come forward and to say a prayer and be saved. Well, this young man said he seemed very confused and agitated, and he said he had done this probably 7 or 8 times. He had said this prayer with several different churches or people, preachers. He said, in fact, he'd been baptized in water twice, but yet he's still in jail. He still sits there in jail, and he's still confused on whether or not he's even saved at all. You know, and I thought this is quite a important thing. You know, I personally don't lead people in prayers like that because I feel like it's God's business. I feel like my part of this job is to share the truth and love people the best I understand it, and be an encouragement and a light to others, and that as I do that, that God's Spirit will do His part and do what only He can do, and that is to convict or to draw people to Him, or to save them, or to give them revelation or enlightenment, assurance, whatever it is that He does, right? I mean, that takes a load off of me. Now, in this man's case, this young man's case, he was concerned because he really didn't know what to think about himself and his standing with God. The good news is that there was a lot of other men there, and several of them raised their hand and spoke and told him things that would encourage him to keep moving on. One of them, I thought was a really good one, raised his hand. He said, nowhere in the Bible does it address or talk about us having a feeling. You know, he said it's not based on feeling it. You know, now God may in fact give us some type of feeling, whether it be emotional or in a spiritual sense. You know, I guess you could call it confirmation or assurance of His presence, you know, and that would be great and it'd be awesome. But, you know, there's no real promise that that will ever come. You know, the Bible tells us to walk by faith and not by sight. Well, you know, I think you could just as well say we're called to walk by faith and not by our feelings. And that's tough because we have, for the most part, maybe all of us, I guess, have really, because of being fallen and being sort of forced to be separated from God, you know, when we're first born, you know, born a sinner, born separated, we only know life based on how we feel and what our intellect and our logic tells us. You know, I mean, this is one reason why people get addicted to sex and drugs and alcohol, is because they don't like the way they feel, so they're trying to make themselves feel some other way. It's all they've got that they can do to help themselves cope through the day, right? So when we get born again, there's a sense of fulfillment that comes in with the Spirit of God. You know, Jesus called the Spirit the Comforter. So part of what the Holy Spirit does in our life is brings us peace and love and joy and all of the fruit of the Spirit, but He also brings us assurance and rest. So I'm hoping and praying for rest for this young man, but if you're struggling with that, whether or not you know for sure if you're saved or not, my suggestion would be just to keep steady, you know, stay in the Bible, stay in the Word, keep in communion and communication with God through prayer, and just flat out ask God to show you. Say, God, I don't understand any of this. I don't know for sure what's going on, but I'm trusting You the best I understand. And then hopefully, maybe one day, God will give you that reassurance through some kind of feeling. But I'm here to tell you that it might not happen. We are called to walk by faith, I'll say it again, and not by our feelings. So we got to trust that Jesus Christ did what He said He did. That He took care of sin on the cross, that He was buried, that He was raised back, and that when we place our faith in Him, that God tells us to count ourselves dead to sin and alive to God. I mean, that's what we're counting on. We're counting on what Jesus Christ has done, not on how we feel or what we think about it, but we're just cleaving, just grabbing a hold of Him, and He's grabbing a hold of us. So salvation is placing our faith in Him. I hope this helps. Hang in there. I'll talk to you later.